So I asked him, is this normal behavior in Hollywood? And you would be surprised.
As we all grapple to understand it, when you're a kid, it's very hard to understand. It's something I teach my own kids, which is that, like, when somebody's lashing out, generally speaking, that person has been hurt as well. And it helps my kids at least make some sense of it. It's not the kind of, that's not the kind of nugget that was shared with me when I was a kid. I wish it was, but at least at this stage of the game, I can help my own kids with some of that, so.
A portion of Blake Lively's deposition has already entered the court, and it seems to imply that her allegations of retaliation are spiraling down the drain.
Something's cracking in the picture-perfect empire of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and it's way bigger than a messy lawsuit. The couple, who have long been Hollywood's golden standard for charm, wit, and marketability, are now in the middle of a courtroom drama that reads more like a corporate thriller than celebrity gossip. At the heart of it, a 292-page deposition transcript that Blake is desperately fighting to keep buried.
I don't actually know what was said. To be fair, it's redacted, which is good. It's still under seal, as it's supposed to be, but it heavily implies that Blake's team doesn't have anything to not only prove the retaliation campaign, but this ongoing smear campaign that apparently has been happening not only since over the summer, but now throughout 2025, which makes no sense.
Sources say this isn't just about shielding personal details. It's about protecting a multi-million-dollar business empire, a high-stakes IPO, and the image that makes them money. The court battle with Wayfair has spiraled into public accusations of smear campaigns, media manipulation, and even claims that the opposing counsel is acting more like a PR machine than a lawyer.
I was surprised that someone would do this, but I was not surprised that Blake would do this, given how I understand this case has been litigated and the scorched earth tactics that have been used and such, so it wasn't that surprising to me.
I think I'm like her in the sense that we don't indulge in the gossip. We don't listen to what people say about us. You just have to turn a blind eye to it. People are gonna talk, and you can't be hurt by that. You can't listen to that. And she's really striving. These days, I live my whole life. It's easier to fall into that, like talking about someone else and when you stick up for someone, you're going out on a limb when a whole group is making fun of someone. But I've really tried to have some honor in my life.
But here's where it gets really wild. Insiders claim Ryan Reynolds' financial future may be directly tied to these legal moves. We're talking about an IPO worth upwards of $90 million and a carefully crafted power couple strategy that's suddenly unraveling. Why are they so afraid of what's in that transcript? And how much of this fight is really about protecting their brand?
To justify the harassing subpoena, the letter erroneously alleges that Brian Friedman defamed Lively and that his conduct had amounted to public relations work rather than that of an attorney. It appears that Lively is slowly realizing that there is no retaliatory smear campaign by the Wayfair parties against her.
A lawyer, the amazing John Ganga, who helped me get out of the subpoena from Blake Lively's team. Have you heard about or experienced anything like this before, that they would go after non-parties like this behind people's backs? Because I feel like that's really what they did here.
Yeah.
Going directly to social media platforms instead of actually going to the people involved.
Blake Lively isn't just asking the court for a favor. She's demanding that a 292-page deposition transcript be struck from the record entirely. Why? Because Wayfair's legal team attached the entire rough draft of her July 31st, 2025 testimony to a public court filing, and Blake's side says that move had nothing to do with legal arguments and everything to do with public humiliation.
Consequently, Lively is shifting her focus to Liner Friedman in connection with her 14th cause of action, which alleges that certain Wayfair parties, through their attorney Friedman, purportedly defamed her via post-litigation statements to the media.
In her motion, Blake accuses the opposing counsel of turning her deposition into a media stunt, claiming they manufactured an excuse to shove private testimony into the public domain. According to her lawyers, this isn't about transparency, it's about creating fodder for a smear campaign. But Wayfair fires back with a simple counter. If Blake is so confident in her testimony, why fight so hard to keep it hidden?
Upon questioning by Friedman at her recent deposition, which it confirms Friedman absolutely deposed Blake Lively, Lively admitted that the only ongoing smear campaign about which she has personal knowledge involves blank, 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 blank. Now, we're going to speculate what that is in a moment. We're going to go to a legal expert to opine about what that actually is, but let's continue.
That's the tension dominating this courtroom clash. Blake wants the judge to seal and strike the transcript, insisting that publicizing an uncertified draft undermines her credibility and taints the jury pool. Meanwhile, Wayfair seems to be daring her to keep it sealed, hinting that what's inside could tell a very different story than Blake wants the world to hear.
Statements by the Wayfair parties to the Wait media, directly or through their counsel, defending themselves against Lively's bogus claims of harassment do not qualify as retaliatory conduct. This is key. This is absolutely key because Blake is trying to declare that it's an ongoing smear campaign.
This isn't just a courtroom fight, it's a battle for the narrative, and both sides are playing dirty. Blake's team argues that Wayfair isn't simply defending itself, they're weaponizing the court of public opinion. They claim that by filing the full transcript, Wayfair is feeding the media a distorted version of events, cherry-picking her words and leaking sensational tidbits to gossip outlets.
They're coming after creators like myself and others to try to prove this, as if our reporting on this case somehow means we're part of a smear campaign. Her biggest defenders online are using this as ammo, and it's like, it makes no sense. Once she went and created a lawsuit, well, his lawyer, all the lawyers of the Wayfair parties, are allowed to respond and defend themselves. And they're allowed to do it in the media, just as Blake's lawyers are allowed to go out in the media. And
there's evidence to back the concern. Details about what Blake wore to the deposition, who accompanied her, and even playful jabs at her legal team mysteriously surfaced in the press shortly after the testimony. Her lawyers say this media circus was deliberately staged to paint Blake as defensive, overprepared, and outnumbered. But Wayfair counters that Blake's outrage is performative. They argue she's using the smear campaign claim as a shield to distract from the testimony itself. It's a classic PR tug of war.
So they didn't have to do it, at least for you, and as I understand it, probably a number of the YouTubers. Probably not that hard to get a hold of these people, so I'm not sure why they did it the way they did it.
Blake casting herself as the victim of a corporate hit job, and Wayfair painting her as a celebrity trying to bury damaging truths.
That's why they did it.
Yeah, and then gave it to the LA Times. Is that really legal to just file a subpoena? So I could file a subpoena basically through a sham lawsuit on anyone's phone and then take the phone and give it to the press. I mean, that sounds really shady.
But the real question remains, what exactly is in that transcript that has Hollywood's golden couples so terrified of it seeing the light of day?
Apparently go to the New York Times. The New York Times has somehow gotten away with all of this, which is shocking. But that's the problem here. They're trying to claim that Friedman's statements or Wayfair giving statements to media such as myself or TMZ or any of them is somehow part of a smear campaign. Now defending yourself is a smear campaign.
Now, here's where this turns from courtroom drama into a high-stakes financial scandal. Insiders claim that this legal battle isn't just about clearing Blake's name, it's about protecting Ryan Reynolds' fortune. According to sources familiar with the situation, Ryan had been deeply involved with MNTN, a digital marketing company preparing to go public with an IPO that could have reportedly earned him upwards of $90 million. The timing of it all is eyebrow-raising. Lawsuits and countersuits seem to roll out in sync with key IPO announcements, suggesting a coordinated effort to shield his business interests. Behind the scenes, Ryan's role wasn't just symbolic. He was touted as the creative mastermind behind MNTN's growth, using his Hollywood star power to lure in investors. The plan? Ride the massive buzz from Deadpool's release and Blake's lead role in It Ends With Us to bolster their power couple image and make the IPO launch bulletproof. But as public backlash mounted and legal troubles escalated, that plan began to crumble. And when MNTN abruptly cut ties with Ryan's company, Maximum Effort, right before going public, the fallout was massive. both financially and reputationally. Suddenly, Ryan wasn't just defending his wife, he was defending his empire.
10 or 15 people have complained, and now what I heard a couple of days ago is that it's 107 content creators and journalists now. So
Yeah, I don't know where that came. I mean,
Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively have always played the Hollywood game flawlessly, until now. According to industry insiders, their recent moves weren't random. They were part of a carefully orchestrated rebrand meant to cement their status as a power couple while boosting investor confidence in Mountain's IPO. Blake taking over It Ends With Us wasn't just about creative control, it was a strategic play to showcase her as a box office force in her own right. At the same time, Ryan leaned heavily into his Deadpool persona, appearing everywhere from red carpets to high-profile events with Hugh Jackman. Even their glossy features, Ryan landing a Time magazine cover and Blake receiving a Titan Award, are rumored to have been perfectly timed to align with Mountain's public offering, projecting an image of unstoppable star power. The couple's presence on red carpets, at Saturday Night Live, and at major media events wasn't just for fun, it was a calculated push to remind investors that this was the pair to bet on. But now, with lawsuits piling up and public perception shifting, the question lingers. Was this strategy brilliant branding or a desperate smokescreen?
If this was a rebrand, it didn't go as planned.
Just as Ryan and Blake's carefully crafted image was peaking, everything began to collapse. The most shocking blow came when M&T, the very company Ryan had helped propel into the spotlight, abruptly cut ties with his agency Maximum Effort right before going public. To industry watchers, this wasn't just business, it was a sign of a deeper problem. Insiders say that the company, under pressure from investors and banks, wanted to distance itself from any legal controversies tied to Ryan and Blake. The fallout wasn't just professional, it was financial. Sources allege Ryan lost out on tens of millions in potential profit from the IPO, leaving him scrambling to salvage both his business reputation and his personal brand. To make matters worse, their aggressive marketing of Blake's projects, once seen as bold, was now viewed as desperate. Investors, once dazzled by the power couple narrative, were reportedly left questioning Ryan's judgment and Menten's stability. What was once a glossy PR success story had become a Hollywood cautionary tale, and Ryan's financial future suddenly looked as uncertain as his public image. To understand why this fight feels so personal for Ryan Reynolds, you have to look at the baggage MNTN brings with it. Long before this IPO drama, the company had been dogged by lawsuits and controversy. In 2016, MNTN faced accusations of fake ad engagement and questionable tracking practices, including allegations of scraping IP addresses to artificially boost ad performance metrics. They were also hit with claims of intellectual property theft, with competitors accusing them of stealing software and patents to build their marketing platform. Though MNTN settled and denied wrongdoing, the reputation stuck. Insiders say this history makes Ryan's aggressive push for content creators' personal data, including subpoenas for IP addresses, phone numbers, and emails, especially concerning. Some industry experts speculate these subpoenas could have been used for more than just legal discovery, raising ethical questions about how that data might be exploited. Add to that the timing, a crumbling IPO launch and a celebrity power couple under fire. And it's no wonder people are questioning Ryan's true motives. Was this about legal defense? Or was it about protecting a company with a checkered past that was crucial to his financial future? This case isn't just about a sealed deposition or a bruised ego. It's about what happens when Hollywood celebrity collides with high-stakes corporate maneuvering. Ryan Reynolds isn't simply a movie star here. He's a businessman whose name and image are tied to a company trying to convince investors it's the next big thing. That makes every headline, every leaked detail, and every courtroom filing a potential risk to his financial future. Legal experts warn that if Ryan's actions, or Blake's, were aimed at misleading investors or manipulating public perception for financial gain, this could open the door to serious regulatory scrutiny. Meanwhile, Wayfair's camp is seizing the opportunity to frame this as a story about truth-telling versus celebrity spin, casting Blake as someone desperate to bury information while playing the victim card. For the public, it's easy to dismiss this as typical Hollywood drama, but for Ryan and Blake, the stakes are far higher than tabloid fodder. Their reputations, careers, and possibly millions of dollars are on the line. And if this transcript ever goes public, it could unravel the carefully constructed narrative they've built, both on-screen and behind the scenes. The fallout from this saga is already being felt, and not just in the courtroom. Ryan and Blake's once untouchable image has taken a hit, with industry insiders whispering that their power couple status may not be as bulletproof as it once seemed. PR analysts point out that their red carpet charm offensive now looks more like damage control, and the carefully crafted narrative of them as Hollywood's golden pair has started to fray. Meanwhile, Ryan's professional credibility is under quiet scrutiny. Sources claim some investors felt blindsided by the chaos surrounding Mountain's IPO and questioned whether Ryan's involvement added value or simply brought unwanted drama. For Blake, the legal mudslinging threatens to overshadow her projects, turning her from leading lady into tabloid headline. And then there's the court of public opinion. Fans are starting to ask whether this fight is really about justice or simply about protecting their brand at any cost. Hollywood loves a comeback story, but this one's getting harder to script. If the transcript stays sealed, they may weather the storm, but if it leaks, it could be the moment that permanently changes how the world sees Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. So where does this all go from here? For now, the fate of Blake Lively's deposition transcript lies in the hands of Judge Lyman, who must decide whether to keep it sealed or let some or all of it see the light of day. If the judge sides with Blake, the public may never know what's inside those 292 pages, giving her and Ryan a chance to quietly rebuild their image. But if the court allows Wayfair's filing to stand, we could be staring down one of the most explosive celebrity document leaks in years. And the fallout would reach far beyond gossip blogs. Legal experts warn that the content could trigger additional litigation or even investor backlash if it sheds light on how much Ryan's business dealings intersected with these legal battles. And for Hollywood's favorite couple, this could either be the scandal that cements them as savvy survivors or the one that tears down the carefully constructed empire they've built. One thing's certain, this story isn't over. Whether it's in the courtroom, the boardroom, or the headlines, the next chapter in the Reynolds Lively saga is coming, and everyone will be watching.